Alright, let's get this go. Whoa, Jesus! Okay, that was close. What is up, everybody? I'm Jason Soto from Whatever with Jason Soto, a comedy podcast that you can find online right now. Welcome to Jason's awesome DVD shelf. It is a top 10 list show where I pick a topic and then I find 10 movies in my collection that fit that category, and then I kind of order it, talk about it for way too long, longer than anyone really wants to hear me talk, and then that's it. So today's suggestion actually came from the Facebook group of Whatever, and the wording, I don't remember how it was worded exactly, but it's something like top 10 movies that you watch with your friends to see their reaction to. So basically these are movies that I feel like you could show a friend of yours just to see how they react. So, you know, you can, if it's like, this might be a terrible movie, but it's fun, or something weird happens in it, or you just can't believe this movie exists to begin with, or something along those lines. So I have picked 10 movies from my collection, and that's going to be our topic. Now, I do want to say really quickly that the reaction to my last video was well received. Everyone was pretty supportive of the fact that my number one in that video was my number one, so thank you all very much for understanding. You keep that support going, so you know, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, leave a comment about whatever, and yeah, I'll get to it. And I also, second thing is, I turned off the air conditioner this time. I forget how close I am to the air conditioner. It's like literally right here. Like it's see this little line that you keep, that's right here, that's blocking it. Like when you go past it, that's the air conditioner. I'm knocking on it right now. That's the air conditioning unit right there. I didn't think about the last time that it was right there and it was gonna go woo, woo. So it's turned off now. I got a fan going, so I'm cool. You should not be able to hear that. If you can hear that, you have supersonic hearing. It's probably possible you have supersonic hearing. But regardless, it should be a quieter video. You're just gonna be hearing me blabber on. Speaking of, let's just get right to it. Number 10 is kind of a funny prank you could pull on people if you want. Now, I don't recommend getting kids in on this, even though I feel like that might be like tempting to some people. But you could be like, hey, you know what? I've never seen Frozen. We should go watch Frozen. I got Frozen at home. You guys want to come over and watch it? And then people might be like, yeah, you know what? I've never seen Frozen either. Or, yeah, you know what? I haven't seen it since the theater. And yeah, you know what? Let's come over. We'll come over and watch Frozen. You know, I'll bring over some snow cones. You know, we can make a whole thing of it. And be like, yeah, absolutely. We'll have some moose meat. There's a moose in the movie, right? I've not seen Frozen. But anyway, so you can say all that, get everyone sit down, have the movie, the DVD player, then you hit play, and then this Frozen comes on. So, I'm sure this joke has been done to death, but I just find it hilarious that there's two movies called Frozen, and one is very much for kids, and one is very much not for kids. But this Frozen was written and directed by Adam Green, who is like he's in the horror community, but he's not a very well-known name. Like, he's like kind of in the underground cult, you know, circles. And he made this movie, and it's about these three friends who go skiing at a ski lodge. They sneak onto one of them ski lifts that take you up to a mountain, well past when it's closed. They sneak onto it, and then they turn off the machines, and then everyone goes home for a week. And so these assholes, they're stuck like, I don't know, 50, 100 feet in the air, something like that, on the ski lift, and they have no way of getting out. And the whole movie takes place on the ski lift of them trying to figure out how to get off. And then it just goes off the rails from there, between like a guy falling to his death, to wolves showing up, to a chick peeing on herself. There's a lot happening in this movie, all in just one centralized location. And I feel like when you're watching this with people who were expecting the Disney Frozen, they're going to be like mortified because of everything that's happening on screen. So seeing their reactions when you say, hey, we're going to watch Frozen, and you pop this in, I just think would be hilarious. So my number 10 is going to be Frozen. So my number 9 is a sequel. It's actually the 4th sequel to something. And I feel like when you tell people, hey, we're going to watch a 4th movie in a series, they're going to be sketchy because they're going to be like, well, I've not seen the first 3. And sometimes you have to be like, you know what? You do not even need to have seen the first 3 movies. Because literally every movie in this series are like independent of themselves. Like they're not even tied to each other. They just made another movie just featuring the main character. But I'm picking the 4th one because it is by far the most batshit insane entry of the series. And I'm talking about Leprechaun 4 in space. So, whenever they make jokes about horror franchises going into space, this was one of the movies that people were like, why is he in space? Why is he in space indeed? That is a good goddamn question. No reason. Just turns out the Leprechaun is actually an alien. And then he wants to marry the princess of space, who's really hot, by the way. Which, you know, I'm sure he's not crying tears over that. But, so it's basically Alien or Aliens, but with the Leprechaun. Because then you got these space marines who show up to kill the Leprechaun, which they do, but then he gets reincarnated when he gets sucked up through a person's pee hole, and then comes out of the, like, not even kidding, comes out of the chest, and is like, I'm alive, bitches, or whatever he says. And then there's this scientist guy who only has like a torso and a head and like one arm, and the rest of him is on this like robot with wheels. And yeah, it's all very strange. It's a very strange movie. It just fucking goes off like 5 minutes in, the movie's just off the rails. He has a lightsaber. The Leprechaun has a lightsaber, for Christ's sake. You have to show this to people and just watch their reactions as you see a Leprechaun with a lightsaber bouncing around in space trying to marry a hot princess chick while getting sucked up through a pee hole, and then a guy, half man, half robot shows up. Yeah, you have to just check out their people's reactions to that. So yeah, so my number 9 is going to be Leprechaun 4 in space. So before we go on, you're probably wondering what the order is, like, like why is one more than the other? And I'm going off of, first off, the availability of the movie. So like the back half of this list probably are more available, and you know, have some shocking moments, but maybe not overall shocking. So like, you know, Frozen is like, yeah, it's not the Disney Frozen and they're stuck on a lift, but then it becomes a standard horror movie from there. Then Leprechaun is just like a Leprechaun sequel. But the more it goes on, the more crazy the entire movie gets. And we'll get to those when we do. But my number 8 is the first of oddly many on this list that I have a bootleg copy of. I don't know if an actual DVD or Blu-ray or VHS exists in the world somewhere, but I had to get this on a bootleg, so the case is just one of them black cases. So my number 8 is Undefeatable. How do I explain Undefeatable? Okay, so it's a movie. It's a martial arts movie. Where it takes place in a unique world where everybody just knows martial arts. Like it's like standard, like how everyone like knows how to ride a bike or stand in a line or count. One of those things you learn is martial arts, because everybody in this movie just does martial arts. There's like random people in the street who, when they get attacked, they start martial arting, and it's like hiya waya waya. And this is not an Asian Japanese movie. This is a pure American movie. This was made in America, but these fucking people, all of the people in this movie, know martial arts. And so it focuses on this guy whose nickname, I think, if I remember correctly, is Stingray. And he is like the douchiest fucking asshole on the face of the planet. And he's like overbearing, over demanding. He like abuses his wife, insists that she does all these things in a certain way or whatever. She ends up leaving him. He freaks the fuck out and now thinks every woman in the world is his wife. And so when he sees a random woman who's not his wife but thinks it is, he kills them. He just like kills them, like has revenge. Like, I can't believe you left me. And then karate chops her head off or whatever. So one of the women that he karate chops is the sister of Cynthia Rothrock. Now, if you're into cult cinema movies, you know who Cynthia Rothrock is. Here's a picture. Yeah, you don't want to fuck with her. And you definitely don't want to kill her sister. So she wants to get revenge. She teams up with a cop who's trying to figure out who's going around killing all these random women, and then they just fucking insanity from there. Actually, I gotta do this. I'm gonna show you a clip from the movie. I'll just get a small clip, not even, I'm trying to make it a minute. Just watch this. Is that not like the greatest thing ever? Like, how wonderful was that? Like, you just now want to watch the whole movie. The whole movie is like that. That was just a taste. That was just a taste of what my number 8 like the DVD's in here, but it's a bootleg. Number 8 is Undefeatable. Okay, my number 7 is a zombie movie. It's a zombie movie from Italy, and it focuses on this terrible family, and they do terrible things. And the movie is called Burial Ground: Nights of Terror. I don't know. I don't know why there's a subtitle to it, but it's Burial Ground: Nights of Terror. And so, the main thing about this movie is the mother and son of this movie. The son, you're gonna watch this. Well, okay, so when your friends are watching this and they're like, "What the fuck is up with the son?" You can throw this little tidbit at them. The actor playing the son was actually a little person who was like well into his 20s, maybe even 30s, but they cast him to play like a 12-year-old boy, which makes for very odd, unsettling scenes of him because he looks like this. He totally just looks like a little person. Like you could try to say he's a 12-year-old boy all you want, but he does not come across like a 12-year-old boy. And then there's a scene, and I don't know if I should tell you this scene. People who've seen this movie know what scene I'm talking about. It's towards the end, and it involves the mother and the son. I think I'm just going to leave that for you to discover on your own. Because when you're showing this to people, you don't even talk about the stuff. Just be like, hey, got this crazy zombie movie. It was made in Italy. Features this kid who's a little person, and but he's playing a kid. And then just go, and then just watch the movie. And then the whole movie is not crazy. There's some lulls in it. There's a couple of standard zombie scenes, but this is where it is in the list because of what happens at the end with the mother and son. I'm just leaving it at that. So there you go. My number 7 is Burial Ground, Nights of Terror. Hey, my number 6, I have on VHS. My first time I'm showing a VHS on here. Yay. I actually showed this to a friend of mine because I discovered this on my own, and I was like, I gotta show the world this movie. Like, this movie is fucking insane. And that movie is called I Was a Teenage Zombie. And that's the cover. That's the VHS cover of it. And here's the back if you're interested. Yeah, look at those pictures. Yeah. The plot itself is very mundane. It's just this kid who's a teenager who gets killed, and then he comes back to life as a zombie, but like he still functions like a normal person. He's just painted green, and he still like talks and has feelings and whatever. And then there's a bad guy who becomes a zombie, but for some reason I don't remember. I feel like he didn't talk. He was all whatever. The insanity of this movie comes from the friends of the zombie. His friends are like I don't know. They're a trip, and it's worth it just for them. And there's a fat guy in the movie. I can't already forgot his name. He is like the bright spot of this movie. Anytime he came on the movie in the movie, I was happy. The bad guy looks kind of like Carlos Santana. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about this, really. It's just, I think you just need to just put this on and just not say anything. I'll be like, this is a movie called I Was a Teenage Zombie. It's going to be a bad movie, but it's going to be enjoyable. And then just watch the craziness that ensues from it, because you're not going to believe what happens in this. That sounds like a clickbait thing. You won't believe what happens in this movie. This movie features a teenage zombie, and now this happens. So, there you go. So my number 6 is I Was a Teenage Zombie on VHS. Number 5, you either know about it or you don't. There's no like, I kind of vaguely remember hearing about that. Like, no, you either know full well what this movie is or you've never heard of this in your life. And that is going to be Frankenhooker. So, that's a very alarming title, right? Like, Frankenhooker. Like, imagine in the 80s going to the video store and you're seeing this there and it says Frankenhooker, and clearly kids want to see it, right? Like, it's like, oh, Frankenhooker. Like, that sounds naughty. And it is, for the most part. It's about this guy, this amateur scientist, who accidentally kills his girlfriend via lawnmower. And so he stitches her head onto this crafted body of dead hookers that he found. And so he took all their body parts and put them together and then put the girlfriend's head on it. And then the girlfriend then comes alive and then gets loose into New York City, where she just simply says, "Want a date?" And then violently kills people. And that's more or less the movie. You probably can't surprise anyone. Like, you can't just be like, "We're gonna watch Frankenhooker and you'll never believe what happened." Like, no, we're watching fucking Frankenhooker. You know what's gonna happen, but let's watch this shit because you won't believe it. But that's really not about Frankenhooker. Besides, it's an enjoyable movie. I enjoy it, obviously. I don't know. You probably want to make sure your friends can handle it, because I feel like some people might be like, "Oh, dear Lord, hookers." I don't know. Just be careful. My number 5 is Frankenhooker. Number 4 is another bootleg movie, but I got the name written on it, so I don't want to show you yet. A friend of mine just said, "You are going to like this movie." Didn't say anything about it, and just said, "Here you go." He made me a copy, and it was in my stack of DVDs that I haven't seen in a while, and then I was like, let's check this out. So I put it in, and the movie is called Deadly Weapons, and it stars a woman from the 70s who went by the name Chesty Morgan, nicknamed so because her breasts really, 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 really huge. And so the plot of Deadly Weapons is Chesty Morgan plays the wife of a mob boss who gets killed, and so she exacts revenge on her husband by finding the guys in the rival gang who killed her husband and smothering them with her breasts, if you will. And that's the whole movie. Just that non-stop for an hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours. And yeah. Now, I feel like the title kind of maybe, I mean, if you just say Deadly Weapons and not say anything else. Like, we're going to watch a movie called Deadly Weapons. And then someone might think, okay, so it could be like a martial arts movie. Or, it could be like a horror movie about like a guy who uses different weapons and kills people. It's a slasher movie. And then you just pop it in, and then you just see this big boob chick smothering dudes with her tits. And then your friend's like, and you're like, right, yeah, Deadly Weapons. There you go. In case you might like thinking, like, that name sounds familiar to Chesty Morgan. If you've seen the movie Serial Mom, which if you haven't, highly recommend. But if you've seen the movie Serial Mom, there's a part like in the middle of the movie where the family of the serial mom thinks that this friend is going to get killed by the mom, and so they barge into his room because he's making weird noises, and it turns out he's watching a Chesty Morgan movie. And so they actually show, like, it's not this movie, it's some other movie she did, but they show her tits and he's jerking off to it, and then they walk in on it, and then they're like, "Oh my god." And so if you've seen Serial Mom, that's who that is. So there you go. I like to drop a little trivia knowledge on people now and then. So anyway, where am I? 4. My number 4 is Deadly Weapons. Alright, I'm excited for my top 3, because these 3 movies are probably the craziest movies that I have. Like, these 3 are just like, you're watching this literally like for the whole runtime. You're just shocked that these things exist. So my number 3 is a movie I literally stumbled upon. Like, I don't remember how I found, like, it was something I saw online somewhere about famously bad, like, slasher movies, and Amazon actually had it, so I ordered it. And then I watched it, and I was not disappointed in how terrible it was. And we got to talk about Axum. I just want to go on record and state I fully support independent filmmaking. If you want to make a movie, you have the idea, you have the guts, you want to do it. You just want to make a horror movie or any kind of movie, and you're just gonna do it yourself. Do it. Go for it. Do not be afraid. Just go for it. I do that all the time with varying results, but I do support independent movies, and I do support African Americans / black people making horror movies. I truly believe horror has a spot for anyone, for men, women, what transgendered, whatever, black, white, Asian. Anybody can enjoy horror movies, and anybody can make their own horror movies. And so I'm saying all this because this was an independently made horror movie from like 1986 or something, made by a group of black people. And I'm like, that's okay, yeah, you don't see a lot of that nowadays. That's cool. The story is, from what I've read, was the guy that made this movie, he started it in like 1986, and he made it with him and his friends, and they made this movie like out in the woods, and then they stopped filming, and then like 15 years later they pick back up where they left off, which leaves for a lot of jarring scenes, because then you have one shot, like there's a scene, and then like one shot of the scene took place in 1986. The middle part was 15, 20 years later, and then it jumps back to 1986. It's so like mind-numbing weirdness how they did this. Like, they stitched together the stuff and made it. People age and de-age so much in this movie. It is unbelievable. It's hilarious watching this guy get up from the couch, stand up, he's got gray hair, walk into the kitchen, his hair is back to black, he gets a drink, goes back into the living room, he's got gray hair again, and then he sits down and his hair is black again. And it's just like, what? It is hilariously awesome. And I'm not talking about the plot of the movie. It's a standard slasher movie. These friends, they go into the woods, and then there's this guy who's like a urban legend of this ghost who haunts the woods, comes to life and just kills them all. That's the movie. That's the whole movie. You've seen it 1,000 times. But it's the way it's filmed puts this on this list, because you will not believe the shit that they filmed in this movie. It's hilarious. And if you can find it, I highly recommend watching this with your friends and seeing their reactions to how people age and de-age throughout the whole movie. You gotta check out Axum, my number 3. My number 2, it's also a bootleg. And this deserves a bootleg. This is... yeah. Okay. It's called Bride of Frank. It's about this homeless guy named Frank, and he kills people, and he's trying to find a girlfriend. That about covers it. But it's like 2 hours long, and there's these scenes of... I'm fairly sure that the guy who plays Frank was an actual homeless guy. I swear to you, I didn't do research. I should have, I guess. But I think the filmmakers found an actual homeless guy and said, hey, you're going to be the star of our movie. fed him his lines, fed him what to do, and then that's this movie. And it's so weird. It is a weird ass movie. And I watch weird ass movies. I love weird ass movies. This is really fucking weird. I feel like there's some gross scenes too, like involving, you know, urination and pooping. I feel like I honestly haven't seen it in probably 10 years, maybe not as long, but it's been a while since I've seen it. But it's stuck with me. Most of the stuff that stuck with me, and there's stuff that I forgot, and I'm sure if I watch it again, I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, that happened. I forgot about that. Yeah. So I don't know how you can find. I don't even remember how I got my copy, honestly. To be perfectly frank with you. I might have downloaded it from a torrent. I don't know. I don't remember how I got it. I feel like this is like one of those like urban legend movies that, like, you know, it just showed up one day and yeah, I don't know where it come from. So I watched it and it's like, what the fuck was that? And you feel compelled to keep it because it's so fucking weird. Like maybe I should like maybe I should like take this and like leave it somewhere and then like put like an email address, like an address in here, like my email address, and be like, if found and you watch this, please email me, and then pass it forward. Dude, that's not a bad idea. I might just do that. We're going to do that to Bride of Frank. I'm going to make this an urban legend. It'll be one of the movies that's like, where did this movie come from? I don't know. I found it in the woods one day, and I just took it home, and there was a card that had an email address, and I emailed it, and then I got a message back saying, watch the movie, and then watch the movie, then pass it on, and then people will be like terrified, and then they'll be like, what the fuck was that? And then it'll probably be on the news or some shit like, there's a mysterious DVD being passed around Indianapolis, Indiana. No one knows where it came from or what it means. And it stars a homeless guy who's shitting on women or whatever. Whatever happens. I don't know. I don't think about that. Anyway, my number 2 is Bride of Frank. Okay, my number 1 movie. I made this my number 1 because I actually did the thing on the I've actually thrust this movie onto other people. Just the funny thing was I couldn't see their reaction because me and my friend, we had this idea for like a homebrew film fest where we were going to do just like a 24-hour film fest where we were just going to watch nothing but movies. People were going to bring their own movies, and then we would like vote on what movie to watch next. And the catch was at least one person had to stay awake through the whole time. Like, so like start out like a group of like 8 and then dwindled to 5, and then a couple of us went to bed, but then 2 people stayed up and then woke up and then they went to bed. Whatever. It changed. People changed throughout the whole day. So I bought this movie over, and I went to bed like 4 in the morning, and then when I got up at like 9 or 10 or whatever, I saw that the DVD went from my pile of needs to be watched to the pile of was already watched, and I was kind of upset because I wanted to see their reaction. I wanted to know what their thought process was as the movie was happening. So I had asked them, and then they said, dude, no, I don't know why you bought that movie. Like, so my number 1. If you don't know what Dead Girl is, A, congratulations, you're awesome. B, you're kind of missing out. It's about a dead girl. But more importantly, it's about the friendship of 2 guys who find said dead girl in the basement of an abandoned hospital, and they discover she's a zombie. They discover she's naked, and they discover that she's kind of hot. So, what happens when 2 teenage boys find a hot zombie, naked zombie, tied down to a table? You fuck her. And so now, before you're like, oh, so it's a porn movie, it is not. I think they don't show the sex. I don't think they do. Maybe like a quick, like a standard movie sex scene, but no like penetration or anything like that. I think it's just the guy on top of the girl, and then from then on, I think the sex just applied. So then you got this one guy who's like, well, we need to make money off of this. We're gonna charge dudes like $100 to come down and fuck this zombie girl. And the other guy is like, no, that's wrong. And then they fight, and then zombies happen. So, yeah. So I made people watch. I guess I didn't made them. Like they chose to watch this, and it went down about as well as I thought it would. But I think if you find the right group of people, you could probably make people watch this, and you should be okay. I don't think you'll lose any friendships or anything. So, my number one is Dead Girl. All right. So what did you think of this list? Do you agree with me? Is there something I might have missed? Is there movies that you've seen that you've shown your friends and enjoyed their reaction to about it? And tell me what those are in the comments below. Please check out my podcast, Whatever with Jason Soto. It's a comedy podcast. It can be found on like Anchor, Spotify, Apple, Google, wherever you get podcasts. Just do a search for Whatever with Jason Soto. You'll find it. Subscribe to it. Check it out. Also subscribe to this channel. There'll be more videos coming out here. And that's going to do it for this list and for this video. So I want to thank you all very much for watching this. So please stay safe and have a nice one.